guys, what is up? It's P from PTV and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to make a continuation video on our old Technomancer build that we've been working on. Now, I promised you in the last vid that as we progressed and moved forward with optimizing this build, I would give you guys updates, and that is exactly what we are here to do. If you're new to the channel, just know that we make Outriders content every single day. If you're an OG of the channel, then you already know what to expect. Either way, if you enjoy the video past this point, you make it to the end, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Outriders content just like this. With that said, let's hop into it. Now, we've changed some of the skills since we've last spoke on the previous video. We were using Cold Snap, and Cold Snap is still very, very good. I've noticed that there are some mods available that we do not have yet that optimize your damage for frozen enemies, and there's a very good chance that we can move back to this. But in the meantime, I've noticed that we have Shrapnel, and Shrapnel is good only because in the class tree, we're going to get an even more weapon damage from using Shrapnel. And so we're going to move on to the class tree, and I'll show you that. Now, there's only been literally one node change. You'll notice in the last class tree that I showed you guys in the previous video, we were using Sour Decay, which just reduces the cooldowns. And honestly, with Blighted Rounds having such an immense cooldown, we use that. It has got 100% uptime as long as you manage it as well as you can. And the difference between having that node on and off was a 1 second difference in Blighted Turret. Now, the reason why we use Blighted Turret is to make sure that every single time we cast it, we get 10 seconds of an additional 40% weapon damage. That's great. So as long as it stays under 10-second cooldown, then we're good to go. So the move from 6 seconds to 7 seconds wasn't, it didn't really make a whole lot of a difference to me. So we removed that node, and we went ahead and added Cannonade. Now activating an ordnance skill, which the skill that I just mentioned is, we're going to get an additional 30% weapon damage. So 30% weapon damage on top of the original class that I showed you, right? So every single time we cast these, we're going to get 70 seconds. I try my best as far as the gameplay skills loop goes. I can cast one of these decay skills, every 7 seconds, like I said. And there's a 20-second cooldown on Shrapnel, which means a lot of times I use it a little bit sparingly. I kind of just use it when there's a bunch of elites running around, if there's a big monster in the end of expeditions, and so on and so forth. So I use it sparingly, but there are times when I cast both, and you can really see me shred with that 70% additional weapon damage. Moving on over to the inventory. Now, I know when you're seeing the weapon, we are still using Amber Vault. Now, Amber Vault is not the ideal weapon here, only because we want to use a burst fire weapon or a marksman weapon because the critical hit damage on those are pretty ridiculous. Now, but what we have right now, because I've just not found the appropriate weapon that has the appropriate attributes and so on. We are using Amber Vault, and what we've put on Amber Vault, it does come with Killing Spree, which originally was the best move, but has taken a back seat. But has recently taken a backseat to a mod called Dark Sacrifice. Now, Dark Sacrifice essentially gives you the 75% weapon damage that Killing Spree is supposed to give you, but it remains a 100% uptime because every single time that you get your character to max health, whether that comes in the form of weapon, life leech, or skill leech, or whatever the case is, when you get your health back up to 100%, the weapon will drain you. The mod will drain you down to 50% again, and the uptime for the 75% weapon damage will be 100%. That makes it just a little more effective than Killing Spree because although it is really, really easy to kill 3 adds and then get the 75% bonus for Killing Spree, there is a little bit of maintenance when it comes to that, especially when you enter a new room for an expedition, for example. You got to kill the 3 adds, then you're up, while Dark Sacrifice has it 100% of the time. Now, instead of worrying about which one is better, although I'm telling you right now, Dark Sacrifice is better when we get our new weapon. We'll be throwing this on with an additional mod that I'll talk about in just a moment. Instead of worrying about which one is better, we just stack both of them, and we're going to get 150% weapon damage when fully optimized, and this absolutely shreds. Now, you'll notice in my gameplay, I'm not super accurate with guns, right? So I'm a little bit nervous about switching over to marksman or burst rifles. But being able to pretty much keep my uptime on the decay bullets, the decay rounds, and have 150% extra damage, I mean, I literally just spray and things just melt. So I'll try to show some gameplay of that as it's happening. So like I mentioned just a moment ago, when we do get that new rifle, we're going to be adding on Dark Sacrifice, which is, like I said, the more efficient of the two tier 3 mods for the up in weapon damage. But We are going to also make sure that the new rifle has critical damage, which will boost it up to 30% when completely maxed out. And on top of that, we're going to add Gravedigger's Frenzy to that when it comes time, which critical shots increase your damage by 50% for 5 seconds. So, I mean, if we're going to be aiming with our marksman or burst rifles for critical shots, especially against the insurgent guys, which are really easy to aim for elite, or which are really easy to aim for the critical shots, we're going to be doing a substantial bit more damage than Killing Spree would allow. So that's the plan when fully optimized. For now, we are not there. Let's move on into the remainder stuff. We're literally just using Rurog's Gaze just because I think it looks neat. Aside from that, it holds no value. You could literally change this out for any gun that looks cool on your back. We are still rocking Sergio's Barrett, which again is not optimized because of the attributes rolled on it. Again, we want bonus firepower, long range, and close range damage. I am considering keeping cooldown reduction on a bunch of my things though, and then just making sure it's bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, and long range. I haven't actually decided which one I'm going to go for. I'm collecting items with both rolls. So I'll get back to you maybe in the third update of this build which one is better. For now, this is what I have. Sharp Eye is obviously one of the best bullet build, one of the best weapon build mods that's available for you guys, stacking a substantial amount of firepower up to 3 times for 20 seconds. That, I mean, the uptime on that is got to be somewhere between 95% to 100%. Like I said with Killing Spree, you're getting a very good uptime. It is not 100% because you do have to kill the ads, the 3 ads, to make sure that you're getting the maximum firepower boost. But it's still very, very good. Bloodlust obviously is doing basically the same thing, so those two things are working well with each other. Lots of continuity in the mods for this item. Moving over to the armor, we are getting bonus firepower and long range damage. Again, this is not optimized as Skills Life Leech is really irrelevant to the build. It's not fantastic. But we have picked up Euthanizer, which deal 25% more damage against enemies afflicted with Toxic. All enemies that we shoot will be afflicted with Toxic because of the twisted rounds that we have, or the decay rounds, whatever they're called. Because of that 100% uptime, everything's going to be hitting 25% more damage because they'll be affected by Toxic. That is a tier 3 mod that comes from what I want to say is the Torrential Downpour set. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's... No, yeah, I think it's the Torrential Downpour set. I got them from the gloves. I want to say that. Double check me in the comment section if I'm wrong a little bit about that. That's fine. Feel free to correct me. But it does come from a Technomancer specific set glove item. So that has been very good. Damage Absorber, to me, you want to make sure that you're not super squishy. I mean, this is a glass cannon build, to be completely transparent. Especially with the bugs that are going around before people can patch this. We've been dealing with this the entire weekend. But Damage Absorber just kind of helping me passively make sure that I don't die literally every time something breathes on me. So you may be able to swap that out if you want to. Over to the pants, we're rocking the specific attributes that we're looking for. Toxic Lead is super important. We're going to get that replenishment of ammo. That is how we make sure that the decay rounds stay 100% uptime. Perseverance Shield is a new one that I've come across. This is making its rounds on Reddit and making its rounds on YouTube. And it basically works as a more effective emergency stance since that mod was patched. Originally it was bugged, and it gave you lots and lots of additional damage reduction to you. This actually operates a little more efficiently than that one does. Again, it only triggers when you're 30% weapon, or 30% health. But because we're dropping our health 50% because of the Dark Sacrifice, right, we'll be dropping that a little bit from here and there. That actually triggers a lot more than you would think, and it makes sure that we don't die. We don't get one-shotted too often. It's pretty overpowered. Coming over to the gloves, again, ideal attribute rolls on this. That feels pretty good. Radical Therapy is a must, an additional 15% damage, and it's 100% uptime because everything we hit is toxic. Dum Dum Bullets, I'm actually thinking about moving this off, but I feel like at the moment, it's the best that we can manage. I just don't necessarily have the mods for it. But if there was something that we wanted to move off, it would be Dum Dum Bullets as far as I'm concerned. That 10% is decent, but I feel like different mods could affect that one. Also, comment down in the comment section below if you feel like you have a mod that would do much better in that one's place. Maybe wait before you see the rest of the mods on the boots to do that. We're over here in Captain Hunter on a perfectly rolled, as far as the attributes goes, these perfectly rolled boots. Captain Hunter, obviously, I mean, that one's pretty basic. Every time an elite pops up, we just want to melt them. So the 25% extra damage from that is pretty good. And then mitigation from death, as we have a bullet build, we're going to be aiming down the sights a whole bunch. And because this has lots of continuity, with Sharp Eye right here because we're aiming down the sights to make sure that our firepower is stacking up real nice. We may as well make sure that our armor stacks up with it just the same. If you're feeling like you don't need one of these armor or defensive mods that I put on, I would definitely swap out Damage Absorber. Although it's less gimmicky than the rest of the defensive mods that we have, I feel like, you know, once you pass a certain armor threshold, you won't need that. And even though the other ones are gimmicky, you will be passing that threshold, you know, quite often as soon as, you know, the gimmicks get procced and such. So that's kind of where we're standing right now with the build as it is. We are melting CT15s quite easily, but I did want to talk about something else while we're here. I've noticed, and I might make a completely separate video about this, FYI, I've noticed that our CT15s have just not really been dropping Legos. We streamed a little bit yesterday, which you guys can go find the unedited stream on my channel if you want to. We streamed a bit yesterday, and we had lots and lots of CT15s, and for many runs in a row, we did not see a single Lego. And then the chat was telling me, hey, go try some CT14s. And literally, we ran like 5 or 6 CT14s in a row, and literally every single one dropped at least one Lego. Now, you might be saying to yourself, hey, dude, that's just the RNG. That's the way it goes. But I've also been seeing this make its rounds around YouTube and Reddit as well, that CT13/CT14 might actually be the ideal farming method. If you want to see some sort of video in that in the future after more testing, let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to actually do that for y'all and try to provide you guys with a little more information and just resources that you guys can make the best decision for your grind, man. If you enjoyed the video, again, please make sure to like and subscribe. We work really, really hard to make sure that we're uploading daily for you guys. I appreciate everybody who watched the video. You guys are absolute studs. That said, I will see you in the next one, guys. Peace.